Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LCK. SANDBOX Gaming up a game here, 1-0 on the Afreeca Freecs. Was a wild and weird ride that we went on. Afreeca drafting that entire engage comp, but SANDBOX somehow able to fight back and win the game up against that.
Well, we learned one thing. Afreeca were bluffing. We thought they had it. We thought everything was lined up, aces up the sleeves, and yet they were bluffing. They couldn't actually wield this engage comp that looked on paper like it would be oh so transparent. Maybe that's an identity thing. Getting Kiin on a carry is what you said you wanted to see at the end of game number one. I'm hoping we see it too, but Afreeca's on the blue side now, so unless it's Jace, not that easy to fool someone and get a winning top side matchup. And Summit's known for getting down dirty with you if you want to actually go aggressive. So yeah. Carry versus carry, very possible in the top lane.
Keep in mind, guys, that Afreeca do have a bunch of other players that they could have subbed in, but they keep the same lineup here for game number 2. So they say it's not the players, it's the comp. We can play better than that.
Loving the J span on red side. Feels like Rek'Sai can be left open now, as there was no priority on it in game number 1, so a J span on red side is very possible. I'm confident, again, might have to eat humble pie if it doesn't go that way. Korea sometimes is weird about junglers. We never had an Ivan meta, for example, but I'm confident Rek'Sai will be a red side first round ban eventually. It's not going to be in this game, and Tahm Kench is a very conspicuous first round ban, even though Jelly has only really found victories on the Braum and other picks. In fact, Tahm is something he hasn't won with, so it kind of guarantees a first pick Galio. Is this to get a really big first 2 picks for SANDBOX, given the Galio priority that was expected?
Feels that way. We could see if SANDBOX want to take something else, maybe to go up against the Galio, but they are hovering the Lissandra for now for Dove. Something safe, something that makes sense, especially compared to the Syndra, and here comes Olaf as well.
I love the Lissandra takeaway from Ucal, because it's been one of his few effective champions in a season where he hasn't looked very good. It's a reliable pick, and also it's coming off Ucal really bringing something on himself by taking the Talia in kind of a bad matchup and then also misfiring on it. So you would want something very straightforward to bounce back. This feels like an ultra bounce back Lissandra game for Ucal, so taking it away, Flex champion on SANDBOX's side, is really intelligent from the side of SANDBOX. So we're going to see first round Lee Sin here, and the Sylas. Kiin has already played it a couple of times, so we'll see if it is a top or mid lane pick for Afreeca Freecs.
Shen very quickly is going to be picked right afterwards to go, you would think, into that bottom side. You get the Olaf charging into the back line. You have the Shen with him, trying to taunt onto some of those squishy targets. Joker going to be hopping back onto that one, is 3-2 on the Shen.
Now we're looking for bot lane carry and one of those flex champions on the side of SANDBOX. SSol in the lineup has been kind of Kalista only, and I thought he had a pretty good game in game number 1, even if it didn't all come together when he's been playing. So the Kalista, the big one for him. Lucian is banned, Ezreal taken away. Is there going to be a double AD ban, or will Ghost be jumping on to something like the Kalista? Remember, he is also a Draven player, so always the outside chance. Go for something like that. A second ban here from SANDBOX, to me, will tell a lot about what they're thinking about Afreeca Freecs' approach. SSol, who is maintaining his spot over aiming in the place of 2 different supports. Remember, it was the sub-support into Jelly today, and we actually need Jelly taking a Gragas ban.
His Gragas was very clean. Obviously, could just be playing the Galio once again, but we'll have to wait and see, as it feels like in this day and age in League of Legends, so many things can be flexed. So it's always interesting to see where the teams like to put them, as in, you know, game number 1, Talia could have been going into the jungle, went mid, it didn't find too much success, but Sivir going to be the follow-up ban here, as finally another one of these 80 carries going to be targeted.
SANDBOX, if they want to be safe, they want to last pick top lane to guarantee a good matchup into Kiin, primary carry of Afreeca. So this is where you would take 80 carry, and it does end up being the Kalista that we were hypothesizing. What matchup does Afreeca like into Kalista is something we're going to find out. Kai'Sa's up, it's going to be locked in, so just looking for something more compositional here. Will we get that confirmation on the Galio and Sylas musical chairs? Seems like not an entire confirmation if it is the Rise picked up.
And that is going to be the pick here. Rise will be locked in for the side of Afreeca.
We're thinking Rise with Cleanse mid lane and Silas top lane is the expected lane assignment now, based on what they're expecting out of SANDBOX. The last pick here into, you would assume, is going to be the Silas. Summit might just be going for his ultra comfort fallback champion now that so many top laners have been accounted for.
Feels about right. I do like this fit, even though the Aatrox did hit some nerfs, still can find some love into some easy lanes. It looks like it will be that Silas into the top lane for now. We'll see if any shenanigans or swaps do happen here towards the end of the countdown.
You look at the ults to steal here. There is going to be a Kalista ult, which is a really fun one for me. I'm even interested to see who he attaches himself to. That particular metric could definitely be the jungler here, which is, of course, something an AD carry would love to rebind to in the mid to late game. SANDBOX have an ultra-standard draft. They could have honestly been running confidently on previous patches as well. So it's sort of draft where if they lost game number 1, we'd look at it and say outdated. But if you look at it here, notice that Ucal actually last second will be taking the Silas into the mid lane and brawling here. So the lane assignment changes a bit. And that also means our evaluation of the comp's going to be interesting. Rise against Aatrox is a swingy matchup where if Rise falls behind, he can fall completely into a pit. But if he gets going, nerfed Aatrox might actually quiver at Rise with an item lead in the mid to late game.
Take a look at some of these compositions and see what's happening here. Afreeca down a game. They're going to be relying on that early game aggressive jungling from the side of Lee Sin here on Dread. Once again, we'll see if Deli can make that Galio work this time around in the support role.
Very, very stock standard from SANDBOX. We know they know how to play out this composition very well, and that could be something that is so important. Loved the blocker Lissandra pick to remove it as an option from Ucal. These sort of team comps are always about the jungler, and it's a tempo jungler in Olaf. He hasn't got a win in NA, but he's been a big pick in Korea. Can OnFleek put the pain onto Dread and the Afreeca Freecs?
We'll have to wait and see. Game 2 gonna start right now. SANDBOX, one of the longer tiers here in Korea. Their name actually has 4 syllables in Korean, SANDBOX. So not the 2 you would expect in English, which is a sandbox, right? I love that does extend in the Korean chant that they have to say in the beginning.
And I love that you bring up Korean chants, not just because we had one, but also because there's a big rename, of course, that's going around the news spheres. The SK Telecom T1 renamed to just T1 because of their partnership with Comcast. The partnership that they've announced, of course, on their social medias. Does not actually take effect in the LCK because, from what I remember, you can't update your name when a round robin's already started, and they already played 1 game of the second round robin, did SK Telecom T1. The reason why I bring up the fan chant point is the fan chant for SK Telecom T1 is T1 fighting. It has always been that. It has never included SK Telecom. So actually, when it comes to a rebrand, because they've always been T1 for esports, it changes less than I think it does for the global fans when it comes to the Korean fan chants.
Yeah. Everybody abroad knows them as SKT, so when you hear T1, you think, well, probably a popular streamer, not a very big Korean team that's been around and has so much history. So can be a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning. Excited to see how people adjust to the new name here. The new in quotes, of course.
Who's that streamer? T1? Don't know.
Not 100% sure.
Korean streamer, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. You can find him on Afreeca.
Well, we're trying to find Afreeca Freecs, so coincidentally, I'm going to zoom in on their bot lane. Early laning phase. Level 1, actually, Kalista Shek can actually be pretty punishing, so because of that, the Galio, who doesn't have taunt necessarily at level 1, is going to hang back. I'm going to watch the replay of the spawning pool here. Was there some shenanigans? Oh, maybe we're going to see who got bound. I guess that's what we can see. Okay, Galio is actually the one that was bound by the Silas. That's what they're showing with that picture. I gotta say, our observers are very next level about small things.
They know everything. As big trade happens here in the mid lane, but after shock is a rune, so Dove is going to be fine.
I'm really in awe about our observers. They're actually really smart.
It's, you know, they're going above and beyond. And
we don't miss kills, and we see the little macro micro things again. The benefit of having some observers who have been around a while. These were actually the observers from SPO TV.
Yeah.
So they are experienced in League of Legends. They're not new observers trained up by Riot Games.
The thing is that I don't think we got those really, micro things over at SPO TV, so...
That's because they got the fancy, new control room and the fancy new things that working with Riot provides. So, gotta say, one area that's been a big upgrade for sure has been the Observer. It's been great so far in 2019. Shout out to the Observers.
They are, of course, listening to the Korean cast, so it is possible that, I think it's Conquest today, the analyst, might have mentioned, hey, I'm very curious to see who he would have bound in the beginning, and then maybe the observers go ahead and give, him what he wants to see.
Well, we want to see action, but unfortunately, top side going to be Rise pushing in, of course, range versus melee. Early laning phase going to be pretty happy for the Rise. Dread's around here. Remember, way back before all the Wombo mistakes, Dread had some nice ganks in game number 1 when Afreeca had 3 losing lanes to get them ahead, and Kiin's got some reliable gank assist, but do they actually have kill threat onto Summit? But now Afreeca Freecs are biding their time.
Really waiting this one out, but the push is there as he lands E. There's that Rune Prism. Do they have the damage? He's going in as the last spell comes out from Kiin to pick up that first blood. Nicely done. Flash also blown out of Summit.
A lot of patience shown by Dread. Dread and Kiin, not, of course, the most experienced duo, but they find a time where there was even a sliver of hope there. Summit was playing that as defensively as he could and still goes down. Nice execution. As Ucal actually tries to punish an on-flank Roman, gets the big Raptor. Or at least all the small ones.
Yeah, you got 4 of them. I saw 40.
40 gold.
Yeah. Pop up above his head. A small thing. No. Very nice to pick that up and deny it from OnFleek.
Whatever brawling you can do definitely will benefit Ucal, who really wants that bounce back game. Once again, he's commanded the last second flex. It's the mid lane Silas this time. Watch the replay. This was a 35 seconds or so camp from Dread for this moment, but the moment the E came down, that's where Dread knows there's a window because of that extended root duration on the W. So nicely executed from Afreeca, and a repeat of the good gank timings that worked in game number 1. Now it's all about the mid-game execution that needs to level up.
Last time we saw Dread on Vision, he did a very interesting thing where he faked to go up to the Krugs and then immediately went bot lane and was able to get a timing for the first blood in game number 1. This time in Vision shows he's going bottom side. Doesn't really have anything else to do right now, as no very nice lane to gank this time around, also no big objectives or camp to take, so can't be as fancy this time around.
Excited to see how SANDBOX, after their setback, play out this game. Not going to be spotted by the vision plant there, but it seems inevitable that eventually OnFleek will be scouted by somebody. There's so many people here. No one's going to go there.
So you're playing Metal Gear Solid, just trying to sneak around all the guards as nobody is able to hear OnFleek or see him in there.
Surely now. Here we go.
Okay, has the vision, but it's way too late as Ocean Drake goes the way of SANDBOX at 6.5 minutes.
That was definitely some solid Snake stuff there. There was at least 3 guards saying, huh, what was that noise? Huh, what was that noise? Well, apparently got away with it. That is ultra hand in the cookie jar, and I know that LS was talking about no one having cookie jars. I had cookie jars in my day.
Oh, really?
And that guy's eating some cookies.
We just ate it out of the packet. Why did you have to transfer it to a jar that you're just going to make dirty? I never understood that part.
I don't know. Ask my mother. You've met her.
Does it look nicer?
Yeah, I think that would probably be...
She does seem like the type of woman that would love a cookie.
She likes aesthetically pleasing things.
That makes sense. Yeah, we never went that far. We just ate about it.
Oh, we're going!
Okay, this is what Galio can do at the bottom side, but the Shen lands that
Sandra ult.
Here comes the Ucal, gonna land it onto Joker as he's all alone. 4-on-1, that's not very fair, but a lot used to pick up the kill on the bottom side.
And that's the point that I want to linger on, because eventually it's Lysandra ult coming on Silas, and you know the kill is going to come in. But what does it do? It's a 2-0 kill lead, just like game number 1. In a game where their lanes aren't quite at risk as they were as game number 1, but it doesn't really serve them up an objective. And if this play happened and the Drake was still on the Rift, you get a Drake for this, right? But because they gave up the Solid Snake Drake to Olaf, curiously, they kind of over-invested for medium gain, and you have awkward things like this where someone's getting a freeze on the top side. That means Rise is going to be at risk. Gonna see the replay. Ucal rips up the ult, says that I've got a good flank ward. And again,
Observer's back again, by the way.
yeah, I love the extended replay here. But this play is next level when there is a Drake. It's only standard level when there's no Drake. So unfortunately for Afreeca, it's a feel-good moment, but there's now a window for a potential outroam from the enemy.
You're mentioning the Rise that didn't feel very safe. Kiin smartly went back and checked, but then did walk over a ward, so it did seem like SANDBOX knew that he was wary at least of the Lissandra counter gank in the top side. So the Rise is going to be just fine, sitting on the tier. Ninja Tabi and a kill, just trying to scale up.
It's definitely the time to feed build, though, when you're against Olaf Aatrox for ultra turret dives against Tier and a Ninja Tabi.
Lissandra even as well, if you can get her in there.
I mean, the movement speed gets you away from the first axe, so that's why you're going full Ninja Tabi. Obviously has a lot of value against Aatrox autos, but I might just be skipping over Catalyst, getting a late Rod of Ages from topside, not on the build path it seems like for here. So a real chance that SANDBOX can find a lead top, but if Afreeca can get more objectives in mid to bot and Rise only dies once, maybe it's fine from an Afreeca perspective.
So this is the second Lee Sin I've seen on blue side just rush the Warrior enchant with no boots and no inspiration for free boots. Do you think that trade-off of no movement speed essentially with the no boots is worth it just to rush that full jungle item?
It does mean that the point in which you can test Olaf in a 1v1 is earlier, because Warrior enchant, he's definitely going to win a 1v1 here unless Olaf gets a huge health lead from Vision or hitting a couple of axes, but it's a very interesting point. The lack of inspiration, it could still be inspiration, but going for the futures market to have that Warrior enchant. I'm not actually aware on gold values with an assist, so I'm not 100% clear. I'd love to pick the brain and just look at the runes after the game, but not knowing the full information. All I can say is he kills Olaf a little bit more reliably, but the trade-off is that he's likely to be out of position in a counter gank sense.
Movement speed always very important for junglers. You want to be in position, you want to be farming as efficiently as possible. No free boots, at least, in the build, even if he did go inspiration, as it is after 10 minutes. Also has one takedown, so would have come at 9:30. But Dread is going to be spotted up on the top side, and now he's ultra slow with the axe coming in. And Shen's there too, so see you later. As Dread, no open hell to get out of that one.
And the free boots wouldn't have saved him, but this is the spot where SANDBOX want to play. Remember, we talked about the very squishy Rise topside and how strong Olaf as a tempo jungler who likes to play from ahead and play around strong lanes can be. Olaf with a winning lane in terms of pressure means they start this Rift Herald. What can Afreeca do to contest? Right now, without a lot of help, the answer to me is very little.
Yeah, right now 3 on 4, and just desperately trying to see what's going on, trying to peek through the door, but even if they do, they're not going to be able to do anything in there. So the Rift Herald does go the way of SANDBOX at 11 minutes and 10, so they can get some extra gold. Even though Dread and Team Afreeca were able to get some good stuff early on, getting that objective is pretty huge for SANDBOX.
The moment that Dread walks up here, he needs to actually be way more on the defense. I guess his W is on cooldown here. If it's not, he's looking for a ward. Then perhaps that's too greedy, but don't have full information to know. However, very, very easy to pick up that kill with the backup on the side. SANDBOX, now Afreeca on their stronger side of the map, is going to try to make something happen, but see what Dread can do.
Stealing that Lissandra, trying to immediately get on top of her, but Dove reading the situation well, just hops out of there, not having any of that.
Kiin has had to surrender some of his CS lead because of the pressure of the topside ganks from SANDBOX, but still has decent CS lead, about half a minion wave to a full minion wave at the top side. Watching now, and CS for CS bot side wasn't guaranteed after the level 1 control from Shen, but it is coming together. As the game goes on, the 1-3-1 presence, and then Olaf and Shen to make it less honest of a 1-3-1 means the out-training is possible from SANDBOX, especially with some sort of a gold lead. Getting closer and closer to first items being completed, and once the lanes start to reassign, that's where Joker can really take over this game, as he has been the reason that Shen's support has really come back front and center in the current meta.
So we've had this control ward in the red side.
I think we have to
Red
name it.
buff.
It's been there a long time.
Wasn't there, I forget, it was the first name and then you had to change it because it was a second ward, but now it's on the opposite side, so what do you even do
It
then?
needs a new name.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give you the honors, Valdez. What are we going to name this sandbox deep ward?
Let's name it Gilbert.
All right, Gilbert the ward.
Oh,
Gilbert.
he's pretty good at this.
Gilbert was just as close as OnFleek was to being detected, but does live. Charmed life for Gilbert. He's about, what, 10 years old at this point?
Yeah.
Minutes to years
He's been
is the
there for a
translation
while,
there.
yeah. As are we just picking on Chen all day here? Joker was able to get his revenge up against Dread earlier on, but does get out of dodge this time around too.
And Gilbert's getting a lot of value because they know the numbers and the angle at which the reinforcements are coming in from Afreeca, so important for SANDBOX there.
Look at that. Big gasp from the crowd as OnFleek. He is pretty on top of his mechanics tonight.
They're chasing them out. They'll get this control ward as well. We'll have to get the toggle to see if they exhausted the vision here, but definitely not going to have that many control wards this early into the game, so I think Gilbert and the side of SANDBOX Gaming are going to pick up this second Ocean Drake and even more laning sustain. But Dread, he's trying something.
We'll see if he can beat the Callista. It's going to be hard, and actually it is just going to be the smite in the end. So double Ocean does go the way of SANDBOX now.
Was a control ward onto the Lee Sin and the Galio, but they still choose to fully disengage. So nice second Drake in the early game here from Afreeca. 2 kills, but no objectives. But now a kill and 2 objectives to the side of SANDBOX means they've actually fought back very valiantly in this game, and that's where laners still waiting to actually hit some relevant points. Summit still doesn't want to take extended trades against the Rise, but that time might come with a 2-item break.
I love how Kiin just flexing a little bit up in the top side. He's like, yeah, this is my blue buff. I don't care that I'm the top laner. I'm Rise. I will take that on the blue side. Hops down, takes it himself, goes top lane. Gonna be excited to see if he can be the carry this time around for Afreeca. I was calling for him to be the carry, or for him to play a carry champion. Actually, in game number 2, Rise does kind of fit that role. But here comes the Rift Herald.
He whacks it down because the duo lane is coming mid. He draws out a teleport. He knows, of course, that the enemy has a Galio, so they're going to be able to respond, but they guarantee a charge in mid. Actually killing the turret, that's definitely not going to work out.
Ucal steals Stand United, which, of course, is going to be nice as a global play. If Ucal does want to, okay, well, let's see if he can survive in the first place. This Galio does come in with a heroic entrance to save his life.
There is entrance used defensively, though. Shen ult or Galio ult used defensively. It's definitely something that raises the ire of casters, knowing that now there's that huge window. They won't have access to the ability. Kiin, I think he's the right person to pick up blue. Silas, we know, is not going to be using damage. Threat is top side. Hey!
Okay, flashes into that one. It looks like the chase is still on, though. Let's get onto this one as Kiin trying to trade back damage, but he's just going to get poked with the big sword of Summit and does go down here. Tried his best to get out of that one. Really got to give him props for avoiding the stuns and getting into his realm orb, but does not survive.
We really like the fancy forward, but like you say, with the Predator icon, maybe just not using the summoner there was the right choice from Kiin because he goes down anyway. They're going to keep pushing on the top side in the Rise lane. That's good news for SANDBOX. We know their 1-3-1 potency. Getting side lane turrets down is one way to force that to be the game. As here we go.
Dread does have a teammate this time around. He's going in onto Ghost. There is that smite, the flash on in, and the kick to the face. He's going to go down as Ucal makes his way in with that Stand United too. As now 4 members rather of Afreeca down in the bottom lane.
Seemed to be a big disconnect from Ghost and Joker because Joker has ult and knows not to use it because given the numbers, he would have died eventually there. Doesn't want to go for the defensive ult that we saw in the mid lane. Ghost was too far up. He goes down. Objectives being traded around the map, but the mid lane turret will be a big win for SANDBOX.
It's going to be a huge one here. The second one, the inner turret goes down. So very long lane is given over to Afreeca, but nice amount of gold put into the pockets of SANDBOX.
Pushing up this lane will be required just to get down Baron Vision for the side of Afreeca. Meanwhile, Deep Vision on the blue side here could lead some big teleport flank plays from someone like Summit or Dove. So let's watch to see how often they can litter this map post 20 minutes around the blue buff area for Afreeca Freecs, because SANDBOX Gaming can do that reliably. A Lissandra or an Aatrox flank go a long way to closing the door on Afreeca Freecs. Watching the replay here, the moment that you see Predator, yes, you can open up some space, but it's Olaf. And I don't even think Olaf has to pop ultimate to make this happen. In fact, OnFleek holds onto it. Summit's ult doesn't time out, so there was no threat onto him at all. This is the part I'm watching, because remember through this entire play, Joker's ult is up. He goes in, they start the trade. See if Ghost could have fully disengaged. I think it's just the accuracy on the Q, and in fact, that was actually... Oh, it was a friendly Shen ultimate there. It was a Shen ult used, but that was the Shen ult from Ucal.
Yeah.
Joker's cooldown still available.
Saved that one. Looks a little bit wonky as it kind of looked like Joker was ulting and then got face called or something. I don't know.
Silas makes the job of the master way harder.
Yeah. Really gotta cast it twice in the replay to really know.
WTF, what's this deal with two Shens, right?
I know.
We've never had that before.
It's still alive in 2019. Hasn't gone anywhere.
Again, I said it last time, we need Silas and a Zed in the game, and the two Zed ultimates, because that's where the hype levels really go.
Silas has a lot of dashes too and mobility, so could make for a very fun trade indeed. If that does actually happen, but we're going to need a Zed first, and then a Silas. As Zed, I think it changed. People agree that he's kind of buffed.
Played a lot of it, and he's one of those famous ones, right?
That he is. We'll have to wait and see if maybe he can pull that out. I believe they are playing tomorrow, SKT, so we'll have to wait and see as the first axe is going to land. Jelly forced to flash away, but in goes the Olaf. They want to take that guy out, and there it is. Taunt comes in, and down goes the Galio in the tree.
I love watching SANDBOX play around pressure. This is the meta they were able to enact on 9.1 and 9.2. The picks change, but they're making the old picks work. Now pushing up, but of course he is really only a tanky boy. He's doing the best Swain impression on this Rod of Ages mid lane and front line. Mage, SANDBOX take down the third Drake of the game. The first one soloed, and they're actually pushing forward as well.
Wow, the flash forward. They want to get this Rice down before he can do any damage. Silas in the back line trying to do something. Takes out the Aatrox. Here's Soul getting into that back line. Can anyone take him out? Yes, they can. The taunt is going to go down as Ghost doing way too much damage. And even though Ucal stays alive for a very long time, Silas unfortunately not able to deal too much damage in that one. Another good fight goes the way of SANDBOX.
Engage timing's perfect from the side of SANDBOX. OnFleek just mows down Jelly. No value out of the hero's entrance because it was on cooldown as he just rolls back to the mid lane. Ghost able to free hit in a way that was impossible from Soul in that game-losing fight around Baron in game number 1. And bring back the old picks, and you bring back the SANDBOX good news stories. They're rolling on to Baron. As our observers throw on this replay, it's all about Kiin still being pretty squishy. He does get his Ceres Embrace shield up to start, but eventually trained down in a 5v4 as the action is on in the minimap. They've got the Callista, they've not got Smite just yet. Olaf on the way. Not sure if Afreeca Freecs can stop this Baron. Here comes the Smite.
Yeah, Ucal. Okay, I'm going to hold that thought here as the Baron has started. Jelly trying to get that taunt down, but look at that Olaf just running at Dread right now as Jelly doesn't even exist in this one. We are going to have Ucal going in once again. It's going to flash away from that one, and finally, Kiin does have a way to get into that back line. They're going to tip away at one. Still on the chase here, but the Chilling Smite looks like it might just be enough to stop them from chasing any further.
Timed out that ultimate as well. Summit goes down. No Bloodwell access. It was all about throwing in members to zombie stop the Baron going down, and that part was successful. OnFleek dying in the previous skirmish was the reason that Baron just wasn't safe. They were able to leash it at around 2,500, turn for the 5, but couldn't continue it. OnFleek only enters the picture now. They had probably about 40 spears into the Baron. Can't finish the objective, their health bars are lower, and the dive works to a point, but the contest on the Baron overall successful on the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Doug just pushed away from this one, and Summit just in there for too long. It times out right before that auto hits him in the face, as the rest of his team was already on the run here. Didn't want to chance it, didn't want to take any chances there on the back of that fight, so let's end up pushing away.
Kiin has gone for a very low survivability build. He only has the shield and a bit of health on the Oblivion Orb. Rolling into, you would imagine, a catch build. So what does this build do? Papa Smithy is a decent question to ask because we're not seeing a lot of beat in the build as Q does go wide. Stand United available for Ucal it's a pick build, because he's going to go into Spellbinder almost certainly with the Needless Large Rod and just look for a catch with movement speed and single target damage. So that's not necessarily going to help him if he wants to be a frontliner in a fight or if he's engaged on. But if they actually give him some backup, if Kai'Sa zooms in on a Rune Prison, they can kill someone in the side lane. Issue is that's Aftershock Lissandra and the Aatrox, so pulling it off, reliability going to be up and down.
It surely is. I mean, he will be packing a ton of damage in that build, as you were saying, so we'll have to wait and see if he can actually do it. As you're pointing to the minimap, Gilbert has died, guys.
Now, there's a chance Gilbert moved house and didn't die, because it could have been a control wall that was replaced. So
given a chance at life a second time.
So he's gone to the farm, is what people. If you guys wonder, Gilbert didn't die. We moved him to the farm. He's living happily. Don't worry about it.
But which one is he?
He's the one that's alive, Valdez. Okay. If you see an alive control ward, that's Gilbert.
That's comforting. I hope it's that one down at the bottom side and not the Baron wards. Baron wards have a higher propensity to be killed and traded.
No Bible thumps necessary on Gilbert. Still confirmed alive by Papa Smithy. SANDBOX Gaming still alive, but Afreeca Freecs, signs of life. They're not out of this game. They're behind 3,000 gold. How will Silas interact with the fight? This is the FLICKR-inspired build, going Rod of Ages into off-tank items. Iceborne Gauntlet, probably a Zhonya's coming soon. We mentioned how Kiin has a catch build. Either gonna catch or be caught. Let's see which one it is.
Well, again, he does shell out a bunch of DPS, so Summit and OnFleek feeling the brunt of that. Even between a huge taunt comes in from Joker. Can they follow this one up though? Jelly does have that aftershock as Ucal making his way in with the Stand United, but really nice stopwatch here as Jelly not able to find anything on the backside. At least Kiin does trade a kill back onto the support, but that's about it.
The Bulldozer stops at 2 victims. They don't go for the full-on turret dive, knowing that Soul Summoners are up, not wanting to chance it. So 2 for 1 is the start. They'll take a Mountain Drake on the back end of this. They could have got it down a little bit early. We could have 2 more Drakes before Elder, but actually this probably works out better for SANDBOX. They want this game to end earlier rather than later, given the lead they've been able to open. They don't want to allow Rise to inch his way towards a 6-item build that gives him tankiness and damage. So that means 1 more Mountain Drake, and then the Baron will spawn in game number 2. Watching the replay here, Joker. That was super bold, but I like it because we already outlined that he can't be a frontline with the build he's gone for. So you just want to force a true fight. He goes out on the back end in a different game. Maybe even after some nerfs were reverted, you could just bulldoze further. But I think it's probably smarter SANDBOX to say, what are we fighting for? We got an out trading kills. We'll get the Mountain Drake. We don't need to greed for 1 more kill and open up the potential of 1 or 2 casualties.
No point in diving. That's definitely classic Korean League of Legends. You want to make as few mistakes as possible and not over push, and just take the little wins where you can. And they play that very well in this particular fight. They get the objective. 1 Mountain Drake is going to go a long way. You do have that Kalista on top of some of those objectives. We'll have to wait and see if they can even pick up the second one.
I also think it's a fair point as a counterpoint to what you're saying. The caveat of, could you have gotten more, is a question I don't think Korean teams have asked enough in the past. I'm thinking about getting Kiin, but not going to get it here. The piggyback happening with Dove chasing after Summit with teleport up. Korean teams have definitely, as evidenced by Summer last year and Worlds, not been brave enough to go for bigger advantages when they're ahead. My read on that particular scenario is it was too risky with too low a payoff to chase for more kills. I don't think you get a Baron out of it because it's the other side of the map. So I'll give that one the benefit of the doubt. But it's an evolving question of, should we have dove further or should we pull away? One that, like I agree with you saying, Korea usually does choose safety first.
They do that time around, as SANDBOX definitely comfortable right now. You take a look at the gold, and the guy who has the most gold, it's Ghost. He's almost up to 12,000 right now in this game. Has Guardian Angel, 3 items completed, 3, 1, and 4. Taunt comes down here. They're going to open up this fight, but Joker actually takes more damage as he is going to be pushed away.
I want to pull back a dated reference in 2 ways. First one here is around vision. Remember we mentioned the SANDBOX getting 2 turrets topside, one to get deep vision around the blue buff area and threaten a Lissandra flank. 007 James Bond Lissandra here doesn't have the wards right now, and until James 1, James Bond can actually find that
Korean
flank.
version, James Wan.
James Wan, indeed. SANDBOX need to get away for Lissandra to get that teleport flank, and right now Afreeca aren't actually preparing for it. They don't stick control ward around the brush that we see where SANDBOX is and around their blue buff, so for now, there's actually a lot of lingering threat from a WTB. Here we go.
Yeah, Ucal, though, is going to be tankier than you'd imagine. You talked about it before, has that off-tank build. Doesn't really take too much on the backside. Does end up stealing the Lissandra ultimate for now. As
where are the wards?
One ward though. They see Dove kind of hanging out around this area, and they can assume that they are in that brush.
I need to interrupt you to say, Afreeca have no vision, and all the vision's out from SANDBOX, and SANDBOX want to keep Afreeca lingering right here. This is like a Monka-esque moment for every member, because they can't change the map state, they can't walk up, and they don't have control wards to face check. So Afreeca are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they're out of realm warp, they're out of tools.
They spot it this time around, and now they just got to get in there.
SANDBOX really don't want to back off here, because the vision pressure is huge.
Now they don't. You can see Yomu's even popped on the side of Summit. They get an opportunity to engage. They're going to take it. They have triple Guardian Angel right now up against Zero on the side of Afreeca. So you know they're going to be looking for those fights. They want to get down and dirty.
They so desperately want to back for control. Vision here at all. Who's going to face check?
It's got to be Deli as a ton of damage goes out onto him. Ucal as well, the tanky member. But you can see Kiin and Sol and Dread just hanging out behind. Not really able to do too much damage. Nice dodge there by Sol, though. He's going to flash away. Can they get on top of him? Sand United goes go down onto the Olaf. Sol still alive, but Kiin all alone is going to flash over the wall. Stays alive somehow in these fights. Both Sol and the other guy, Kiin here, still in this one. Drake gonna make it back to his teammates. Nice dodge on the Q there, though. Dub not gonna take that one.
Redemption!
Kiin takes another one at Redemption. Maybe the winning play here in this one as they're still on the chase.
And as respawn's coming soon, Hero's entrance up in 5 seconds. That was so important, as that was the moment where SANDBOX would have closed the game with a wipe. They would have got Baron, and Afreeca had no way to back to actually open up a safer face check. Summit's still around. This seems bold.
Yeah, and now the Galio is here too, but turns out that Yomu's Aatrox, he's pretty fast. He's going to be dashing over those walls as well.
It's actually one of my favorite passes of play so far this season, because that moment where the vision really hurt them is something we can't communicate often, that end up being so big, but Afreeca outplayed them in some small ways there. Now they're onto Mountain Drake, and can SANDBOX stop them?
Here we go again. This time the World Ender picked up from Ucal. But they're not going to actually fully commit to the Mountain Drake. Afreeca not ready to just get on top of that one.
Dread very slowly soloing it down, allows Joker to come back.
Ucal getting in there, but Sol does have to back away. But look at Aatrox himself. Is going to go down one time, but Sol goes down. The huge damage of Afreeca is no longer in the fight, as Ucal also going to be taken out here on the backside after that World Ender. See if they can get on top of him. Looks like he might actually get away, but 2 kills are going to go the way of SANDBOX here, as they're still on the chase. Can they take out Ucal? Trying to actually get the GA on OnFleek. Not really worth it to chase his Silas after all, as Kiin somehow still alive on the backside. Is going to get taunted up. See you later. Down you go, Rise. Not going to be able to survive this time around.
They have to fight thick and fast to get this Baron control. They finally get it. Let's look at the respawn timers here. Seems like no one from Afreeca can respond. SANDBOX get the Baron that seemed destined for them just a few moments ago. Big thing in the team fight there is it was about contesting a damage dealer, while Ghost had a half second or two where his time was wasted. They were actually able to kill the enemy Kai'Sa. This is an extended replay. We're starting at the top side fight. That was much earlier. This is where Afreeca were damned if they do, damned if they don't, contesting for Baron vision with no wards. It ends up being pretty even as Sol doesn't die. He plays his team fight really well. And then while summoners are up for SANDBOX, they don't get the amount of kills they thought they would. That's why we're going to need a fast forward or to just move jankily on to the next fight, because the second fight was even more pivotal than this first one.
Even Drake gets away, he flashes over, able to shield to him, and then Joker just hands his life over to Kiin, says, take me.
Now watch the fight. Ucal dives in, and that means Blizzard's doing no damage, but in the back line, they just scrape
Joker
up.
taunt.
Exactly. The taunt into the Lissandra ultimate. Actually, this does Silas's job way better than Silas is able to. So while Silas contests space, which is what you're supposed to do, with mid lane Silas going Rod of Ages and Zonias, unfortunately, the threat is not there. It's much more toothless, and the only big mistake is OnFleek running into the W being up from Silas. Of course you're not going to kill him. He's going to always heal at the end.
He says, let's go, let's go, let's go, nice, and let's eat it. I'm assuming he's talking about the Mountain Creek, or probably the Baron, actually. And we have another fight here. Is Ucal. Actually, Deli is the one taking a bunch of damage. Does get popped away on the blasting plant. SANDBOX continuing to push. They were able to eat and take both of the objectives, Baron and Mountain, and they have a pretty huge push going on.
And they don't have the longest range siege, but they do have the threat of a dive, so they're trying to battle, get health bar leads. Summit, visual bugs for a moment, but that's no visual bug on Dread's health bar.
To clarify, guys, they say eat it for taking objectives. You know, like
you eat the Baron, you eat the
Baron,
red buff.
yeah.
That is the command compared to take, which is what we use in English.
So they're not talking about, you know, eating dinner after the game or anything like that, but just talking about taking those objectives.
Is that actually used in any other forms in the Korean language? Because it seems like a holdover, right?
I don't think so.
You don't eat the win, right? You take the win.
Yeah. Or you like go to the win, you know.
Ah, okay.
It's kind of like that.
It's always
Not
interesting.
always.
It's all about verb tenses and how things come together. It's very interesting.
As this push really coming together in a big way in the mid lane, but you can see that SANDBOX not going to be overcommitting, taking it slow, letting the cannon do its job.
Siege, like we mentioned, they're pretty toothless, so they're trying to run between lanes here. Remember we mentioned the SANDBOX were 1-3-1 with Shen reinforcing the Baron buff. Allows that 1-3-1 to be even stronger. Always threatening the dive. Olaf wants to poke his head, throw an axe, and allow someone to take a turret. So almost all the easy objectives are gone, Valdez. But the tougher ones, this mid lane in a turret with 10 HP, someone needs to threaten a dive, I think, here. But right now, Afreeca, they're not pulling the trigger.
Well, Devin Ghost, a couple of autos, and immediately goes from half to about 10% left on that mid turret. Dove's going to get one more pick at it as the cannon nearly able to take it out, but it's a lot of time wasted, and still no inhibitor turret has gone down with their pitiful siege that they have going on here. It's going to be the last push with the Baron buff for 4 seconds. Can they take it out?
Should get it here.
Yeah. Down it goes. We will continue on to this one. Lissandra ult taken here by Ucal. We'll see who he puts that one onto.
Cleanse is up on both AD carries. Both took Summoner Cleanse.
Hey, going off to Summit, who nearly just disappears. But again, he's got TA, and he is Aatrox. So they get the inhibitor. They're not going to be too sad about that guy taking too much damage, as they're just going to push away after getting the objective.
Flashes were down on Summit and Joker until basically now. Maybe that's the reason that no dives were threatened. But also, you see Kai'Sa just hoovering out massive damage, and you say, it's 75% crit. Kai'Sa in an AoE with Hurricane and UIE coming through. And the change in some of the attack speed items means this is possible, and we'll be proccing that passive a lot. This is where you need to be careful. Remember, there is a pretty much press this button to win of Elder spawning. It's a 5-stack Elder that's spawning for SANDBOX. We already know their siege is not the strongest, so I think it's smart to not trifle with Soul, because if you try a dive there, mess it up, and then Afreeca get Baron control and Elder control, you might straight up lose from being greedy around objectives.
Definitely has been one of the themes here for SANDBOX. They're very balanced in the way that they're pushing in and taking fights, not overdoing it at any given time. And not going to overdo it now, as Ucal's going to get rid of that ultimate, try to steal a new one. See which one he does want to take here, but really now it's all about controlling the vision around these objectives, seeing what they can get.
Just trying to force through as a 3-man unit. They do get to face check here, which is important for Afreeca. We'll need to see the scoreboard to know about vision. That's turning on to Joker for now.
Here comes Tub over the wall, though. It's immediately taunted. Can he get anything down here? Aatrox with a huge wombo combo into the back line. Soul's still alive, but it's not anything compared to Ghost and the damage that he does after that kind of engage. Well done by SANDBOX. They're able to get 2 kills already on the backside. Looking for Soul here as well. He does a bunch of damage, but he is going to go down and not even get the Guardian Angel.
Interruption.
SANDBOX
Got
going
it.
to be able to interrupt this one, and they're going to push on to perhaps the victory.
SANDBOX will win, and amazingly, Valdez, we were right on one prediction. We said control wards, vision in the blue side jungle would allow for a flank. It's the flank there. Dove gets in, and while he can't get everyone, they come from every angle, and they take down Afreeca where they stand for the 2-0.
Really fantastic turnaround for this team. I mean, they just lost to Afreeca 2 series ago, and it was a bad one in game number 3 where they got outplayed. This time around, they send the message and say, we're the better team. We're going to 2-0 you this time.
And I've got a great analogy here. What do we call SANDBOX Gaming compared to everyone else? They felt like an LPL team. Remember, the LPL is only rolling on to patch 9.4. They never got to 9.3 this week. It seems like finally SANDBOX got patched for the new patch. They've got strategies, some old, some new, but their adjustments in playstyle give them the old identity that they couldn't find on 9.3 and last week in general. So finally, the patch comes in late, but SANDBOX return to their early season winning ways.
I just have a stupid grin on my face as Summit. You can see he's close with a lot of those guys on the side of Afreeca. Big smile on his face as well. He takes down a lot of former teammates after being pummeled by them the last time around. So certainly has to feel good for him, as he doesn't want to lose that name as one of these new big top laners that finally has a starting spot and is one of the big carries for his team.
Shout out to Gilbert, the 6th man of SANDBOX Gaming. A winner for sure. He lived, by the way, just to confirm.
Sure, yeah. There were a lot of control wards in that game.
More and more SANDBOX Gaming fans who are actually going to be wearing a lot of the gear, as SANDBOX Gaming were handing out a lot of gear to their fan groups and also the casters in recent weeks. So cool to see the support extend to jerseys in the crowd. Afreeca Freecs try a new roster, and it wasn't quite the roster that beat SANDBOX. Remember, that was Aiming playing and not SSol. But it doesn't all come together, and Joker's smiling, and I give this man a lot of credit for those moments where SANDBOX didn't just go hard at the paint and go too greedy for some of the dives. They pulled back multiple times for a better spot, and when they finally found their spot, Lissandra over the wall, Olaf chasing down an AD carry, things came together in a big way, and a couple of moments later, the series closes, a 2-0 clean win for SANDBOX Gaming. It's been a while since they had a 2-0 victory.
It's definitely got to feel good. The last time they did that was against Jinair, and that was 4 series prior to this one, so you're right on the money with that one.
If we exclude,
a big turnaround for them.
And you exclude the Jinair win, because, you know, everyone's 2-0ing them. It's Hanwha Life Esports on my birthday, 26th of January, over a month ago. Their last 2-0 victory, so given their 2-1 losses and their 2-0 losses, big statement here as things came together, and it was with the familiar champs in game number 2, but also some really smart heads-up calls as game 1 went on. That was a surprise to me. I thought their comp was pretty significantly inferior in the late game, but it was late game SANDBOX that actually took down game number 1, and then a controlled SANDBOX performance in game number 2.
Yeah, definitely a big shout out to SANDBOX, who look a lot better this time around against Afreeca, who feel like they're still trying to find their identity. Game number 1's draft was like, we're playing in bronze, we're going all engage and try to do the damage, didn't have enough damage. Then game 2, Silas didn't really do anything. They weren't able to get anything really going with the early game Lee Sin either, so kind of unfortunate to them that they couldn't really make anything come together. We'll have to see if they can somehow find another win, as so far it's just the one Gen G game, the one Jinair game as well, and the one time against SANDBOX the first time around.
And honestly, Valdez, it does feel a bit like the dirty secret of 10-man rosters for Afreeca Freecs, because they still haven't stuck with a roster since they brought on the new players. They change it again. It's only the AD carry, so it's a smaller change, but it's not the roster that played a couple of days ago and lost, so they're not really allowing the scientific method of changing one variable or 2 variables. They seem to be going for 3 or 4 series to series, and then you're like, all right, who's winning? Griffin hasn't changed anyone. SANDBOX hasn't changed anyone really the entire season, so because of that, you start to wonder if they're just muddying their waters. Afreeca Freecs, they've got a lot of players, they've got a lot of coaches, but they haven't got a lot of cohesion through multiple rosters, and not paying it forward might work if it's a tournament over 3 days where you just go super hard and try to be really clutch, but over 18 best of 3s, there's been so little consistency from Afreeca in just about anyone. They're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, you know, that's not something you want to be known as, guys, even though it's a lot of big words. if you're just never finding consistency in that way, it's not a good thing. So we'll see if they can turn it around and finding a 5-man roster that actually works for them. Or I watch Silas Man as well. I mean, it's found some success, but not a very big fan overall.
I think Silas again, you know, we compared to Echo and Swain. These are champions who, kind of like Olaf, it's a weird thing to say, it's kind of a jumpy thing to say, but it's like a tempo champ. If you're winning with a Swain, damn, it looks good. If Olaf's not winning lanes, damn, he's so oppressive. But if you're losing, kind of a vacant champion that just lasts a long time but doesn't influence a result. So not being able to steal like the crazy ults like Pantheon and Malphite, some of the highest value ones means that things don't come together. This was the control we talked about, able to come from multiple directions, where SANDBOX Gaming, and from there, Ghost can hop away in a way that SSol wasn't able to in game number 1.
This kind of balanced comp that has some engage as well as a lot of damage built into it looks a lot better compared to game number 1, Afreeca composition. SSol not even able to outduel that Olaf on the backside. You can see Gold Graph really only goes in one direction as SANDBOX get another big win here up against Afreeca for the 2-0 tonight.
Early game especially went to Afreeca Freecs 2 games in a row. You see the little blips, they weren't massive, but it was 2 kills to 0 in game 1 and game 2. But it always came to a sobering change where suddenly Afreeca were like, crap, we got no vision, we can't control ward. If you remember, even though they won the series, you remember when Dread was on Elise and in a standoff had no control, had an amp tome instead. It feels like they've had some consistent issues around things like vision and playing a side lanes and things like that. And while they were pretty good defensively at pushing out their lanes in game number 1, there's always something missing from Afreeca. They're less than the sum of their parts in a talented player sense, and deserved MVP goes to OnFleek, interestingly, in game number 2. His Olaf was able to play around some pressure in lanes, and if you're chasing down the enemy Kai'Sa, you're probably doing it right as Olaf, and this catch onto Dread was one of those turning moments for SANDBOX Game.
Definitely was. Looked like kind of a team play there alongside Joker as well, but and he kind of just did his job as Olaf, right? Got ahead, farmed very well, and was always just diving straight into the back line. You can see flashes on the soul. Immediately makes that AD carry irrelevant from the get-go as much as he possibly can. And obviously much easier to do when you're this far ahead. When we take a look at this replay, he's going to be able to dunk down Soul. Only other person I give it to is Joker. It's kind of funny because the two of them were the guys that kind of shut down Dread in that early game on the kill. So nicely done to the whole team, and good job to OnFleek, who, you know, had his Camille, was doing really well on that, struggling to find other picks. Seems to have some other ones. I'm going to hand it over to Jisun for the translation.
MVP 서밋 선수, 우클릭 선수 모실게요. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 뭐 물론 고작 2연패라고 할 수도 있지만 그래도 샌드박스가 워낙 상승세였기 때문에 그동안 마음고생이 좀 있으셨을 것 같아요. 오늘 승리 소감 어떠신가요?
그래도 2연패 하면서 조금은 힘들었는데
During the
그래도 오늘 2대0
losing streak,
승리를
we were feeling a
잘해서
bit down, but
기분
today we
좋고
got the 2-0 victory, so it feels
잘했다는
really
생각이
nice.
들어요.
I think we did really well.
1라운드 때 패배를 안겨준 아프리카와의
You got your
복수전이었습니다.
revenge on
특히
Afreeca,
탑 대결이
who
많이
took down you guys in the
주목을
first
받았는데
round.
기인 선수 오늘 상대해보니까
And
어떠셨어요?
all the hype was around the top
친구는
lane, you versus
항상
Kiin.
잘한다고 생각해서 네,
Kiin is always so
오늘
good,
역시
and today he was
잘하더라고요.
so good as well.
나름 할 걸 해서
But I did my role fully, so
네,
I think I did
알겠습니다.
also well.
오클릭 선수는 오늘 승리 소감 어떠신가요?
What about you, OnFleek? How do you feel about today's
기세라는 게
victory?
좀 중요하다고 생각하고 있어서 오늘 승리
Well, I
정말
think,
중요했던
you
것
know, the streaks
같아서
are really important, so
그만큼
I thought
이기는-
today's victory
이겨서
was
더
so
기분
crucial for our
네,
team, so I'm
특히
really happy that we
1세트
got the
뱀픽이
win.
재밌었어요. 특히 먼저 렉사이가
The
다
draft
나오지
in the
않았단
first
말이에요.
game was really interesting because
해설진분들도 그렇고
Rek'Sai
저희
was
분석회수에서도
neither picked
원래
or
쌀
nor
픽으로 나오지
banned
않을까
away.
했는데 이유가 뭐라고 생각하세요?
Why was that?
상대 조합을 봤을 때 저는
Looking to their
엑사이보다는
composition,
리신이 더 좋았을 것 같다고
well, I thought
생각해서
actually
리신을 픽했고요.
Rek'Sai doesn't really fit in well.
충분히 할 수는 있었는데
I thought Lee Sin would be
리신이 더
better.
네,
But
현재
Rek'Sai
렉사이가
was
승차로
viable, but
연습하고
Lee Sin
계신가요?
could have been. I mean,
네,
Lee Sin was definitely better.
네, 렉사이 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다.
But I am
서밋 선수는 오늘 제이스를
practicing
들고
Rek'Sai hard.
1세트에서 나왔습니다. 사실상 우르곳이
Summit, you
너프가
played
되면서
Jace
제이스가
in
원탑이다
the
이런
first
생각이
game.
들기도
A
하는데요.
lot of people are
제이스를
saying that
상대할 만한
after
챔피언
Urgot getting nerfed so
뭐
bad,
생각하는 거 있으신가요?
Jace seems to be the OP.
제이스를 상대할 챔피언은 있는데 때 제이스가
Well, there are the
그래도
champions
웬만하면
that can
다 5할 이상은
fight
다
up
가져가는 것
up
같아서
against Jace, but I think
굳이
Jace currently has
탱커
about
챔프에
above
쌓이는
like
정도만
50% win
조금
rate,
반반할 수
so
있는 그런 것 같아요.
maybe just
야,
Cyan,
그러면
but I think
픽을
Jace
하지
is
않을
really strong.
거라면 밴을 해서 막는 것도
네.
중요할 것 같네요. 사실상 제이스가 현재
So I guess Jace
원탑으로
is
라인을
the
다 가져갈 수
most
있다고
powerful
말씀을
champion currently in the
해주셨습니다.
top lane.
오늘 제이스로 아주 멋진 모습 보여주셨습니다.
So
바로 나
let's check
평가
out this
장면인데요.
highlight.
함께 보시죠.
On Jace from Summit.
자, 이때 굉장히 급박한 상황이었는데
So what was going on over there? We were taking all the aggro on the downside, and SANDBOX aced out all the Afreeca
정신이
players.
없는데 일단 앞에 거를
I mean, there were so many
처분하는
things
생각을
going on
하는데
over there, but I
잘
was
된것 같아요,
focusing to
되게.
kind of take down the
저
front
때는
line.
아
I
내가
think it
다
kind
막아주고
of worked
있다 이런
well.
생각은 딱히 안 드셨나요?
네, 워낙
I thought you
정신이
were
없다
blocking
보니까
everything. Well,
네,
I don't know. We were just
야,
so.
이때 에이스를 내면
I mean, like there were so many things happening, so I just wanted to just do well, and I think we pulled
자,
off
이제
really
2세트
well.
얘기해 보겠습니다. 온플릭 선수의
In game
그
two.
피마 4분 32초에 박아서
Your
20분
control word
7초까지 유지가
lasted
됐어요.
so long.
와,
You just
15분이나
put it down
갔는데
in the 4
자리가
minutes, and then it
명단인가요?
lasted more than 50 minutes.
거기가 풍수지리적으로 아주
That is the traditionally the best place to put down your ward.
야, 이제 앞으로 솔랭에서 그 자리의 핑화는 꼭 체크해야 하지 않을까
Maybe the solo queue
생각이
players
듭니다.
can take that as a
온플릭
great
선수가 이 탑 갱킹
And
손해를
OnFleek.
메웠습니다. 솔룡을 하셨는데 그때
Well,
진짜 아슬아슬해
Summit was
보였거든요.
ganked
어떤
by
판단이셨어요?
Afreeca
네,
players
저희
by
바텀이
you
주도권이
were kind of
있어서
compensating
영을
that by taking the dragon by your
취재하라는
own.
소리가 나왔어요. 근데 리신이 저기서 걸린 다음에
Well,
약간
our
애매하지
teammates
않을까 싶었는데
gave me the call,
시야가
예, 하루
but they actually
안
didn't have
오더라고요.
exact
그래서
vision over there, so we were able to
사실
just
그
take that down.
수정초도 약간 위쪽으로 터뜨리면서 온플릭 선수가
I
용을
guess
잡을
it was
수
really
있는
lucky for you guys.
기회가 됐습니다. 정말 멋진 판단이었고요.
Very close
오늘도
and great
용뿐만
decision.
아니라 한타 때마다 막 앞으로 나가서 포지션 잡으시고
And besides the
굉장히
objectives, you were really
공격적이셨는데
aggressive during all the team fights today.
아무래도 저번에 아프리카한테
Well, in the
뼈아픈
previous
패배를
match
당하고
against
나서
Afreeca
오늘
Freecs, we had a
정말
very,
이를
really
갈고
bad
나왔는데
defeat,
그래서
so I
더 그랬던
prepared
것
so much for this
네,
series, so
사실
that maybe
온플릭
that was
선수가
why.
정말 팀에서 큰 역할을 담당하고 있기 때문에 9.3 패치 이후에 카밀이
Well, OnFleek, you are the main character of your team,
흔들리는 것
so
아니냐 이런
I
얘기도
thought
있었거든요.
that maybe SANDBOX was getting a little bit of hard time because of the 9.3 patch.
그래도
Is that true?
저희는
I think,
그래도
yeah, I
조합을
have to
맞추면
admit,
또 쓸 수
but
있다고는 생각해서
still,
쓰는
if
건데
we are
이게
ready with some
실수가
better
나오면서
competition with
잘 안
Camille,
됐던 거지.
I think we are
크게
still
영향은
viable to
없는
use
것
Camille in jungle. I
네,
think the
혹시
patch
카밀
doesn't really
말고 또
matter. I
기억
think I
챔프가
just made too
있으신가요?
many mistakes during the
오늘
plays.
플레이했던 올라프로 하겠습니다.
야, 네,
What's your main
온플릭
character then?
선수의
Well,
올라프도
I want to pick
계속해서
Olaf
기대해보도록
that I played
하겠습니다.
today.
이제 연승 계속 이어가야겠죠? 서밋
Now you
선수
guys
각오 한
gotta get
말씀
back to the winning
부탁드릴게요.
streak, right?
네, 이제 2라운드 초반인데
But this is the beginning of the
아프리카도 잘
second
이겼으니까
round,
이
and we
기세에서
also took down Afreeca, so
남은
I want to keep
경기들도
this
잘
going and
해보도록 하겠습니다.
do well on
네,
our
온플릭
upcoming
선수는요?
series.
네, 저희도 오늘 이긴 경기
Well, today
기세 타서
I want to
앞으로도
just keep
좋은
this
경기를
upswing going
보여드리도록
and keep
하겠습니다.
showing better performance to our fans.
샌드박스가 다시 돌아왔습니다. 오늘 인터뷰 감사드립니다.
Thank you very much for this interview, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank
MVP
you.
서밋 선수, 온플릭 선수 만나봤습니다. 중계석 연결할게요.
Thank you, Jisun, as always, for that translation. Good news for SANDBOX. Their next series is up against Jin Air, and that will be on Saturday, I believe. And speaking of Jin Air, our next
Yes.
series is going to be Damwon up against Jin Air. Green Wings guys, is this the moment where they get a win, another win, or maybe even a series win up against Damwon, who are looking really on point?
Is this the moment that Papa gets a win and Jin Air actually fight? That's what we want, Valdez. We need to see some Jin Air fight. They have been rolling over. That last match week was definitely a really concerning one. We're about an hour away, 40 minutes away from broadcast, 50 minutes from pick spans. We need to see Jin Air come in with a plan, execute, and at least force a fight, because to me, that's the easier win. An actual full game, they've been very off the pace for that, but they really need to find some spears and apply them to the enemy. I need some DPM numbers, Valdez.
We got to get the fighter planes out here
Yes.
eventually. And, you know, they did look a little bit better against Gen Z, but, you know, it's a much harder team they're going up against tonight. So maybe they'll just throw caution into the wind and say, the hell with it, let's fight up against Damwon. That's going to be our next match in about 40 minutes.
Now, at 8 match wins, you are not safe for top 5, but teams have made it to the top 5 with 8 match wins before. They still have 6 matches to play, and there should be some beatable opposition there, but you're opening up 5 matches between yourself and now Afreeca Freecs, Gen G, and at least 3 matches between 6, so it's pretty good for the side of SANDBOX.
Yeah, and Afreeca 3-8. They're going to have to win pretty much all their games that are left over, 7 to get to 10-8 in order to really secure that playoff spot. Might be hard, but guys, either way, we'll be back for Dom1 versus Jin Air in about 40 minutes. See you then.
You take me higher when I feel low, make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning.